I mean, the Cleveland Browns have fucked up the quarterback position for years. They're a dysfunctional franchise. And what really stuck out to me was you just get blown out 32-13. Gabriel has a shit day. And then immediately after the game, you're going into a bye week. You got the Jets coming out of the bye.
Yeah, you have time in the bye.
But immediately you go back to Dillon Gabriel as a starter. You don't take the bye week. You don't take 2 weeks to evaluate, like, hey, should we give this kid a chance? Is he going to give us a shot in the arm to get us going? Because the defense is ready.
Right.
The Cleveland Browns have just executed a move that has left everyone scratching their heads, and Richie Incognito is not holding back his opinion. After the Browns surprisingly doubled down and still selected Dillon Gabriel, Incognito went off, calling out the team's entire strategic plan in a fiery rant that has now got fans buzzing. What exactly did he say that has Cleveland's devoted fan base fuming? And is he in fact correct in his assertion that the Browns have completely blown their shot at the future? Let's break down the chaos.
Reporters, well, for teams like the Cleveland Browns, it's getting late early, as they say. The season doesn't look like it's necessarily going anywhere. And at this point, a lot of Browns fans and or Shedeur Sanders fans and or people like me that want to see something interesting happen are beginning to say, what is going on? Why is Shedeur Sanders not getting a shot?
If you find this content enjoyable, please consider subscribing to the channel. It helps more than you might realize. The Cleveland Browns have, with remarkable consistency, once again demonstrated that they are the Picasso of questionable decisions. Every single draft season, they take a perfectly blank canvas of potential and somehow manage to paint an absolute masterpiece of utter confusion.
A weak division, they got a shot, and when he named Dillon Gabriel the starter after the game, I was like, oh, this situation stinks. There's some bullshit going on right now. They wouldn't name him the backup a couple weeks ago. Then we have the mysterious back injury. Stefanski's all in on Bailey Zappi.
He is.
Ownership's been a mess. This was Jimmy Haslam's pick, and clearly Stefanski hates Shedeur.
Yeah.
So I just don't understand how they don't go into that bye week. You basically have a 2-week evaluation period.
Right.
Let Shedeur and Dillon split the reps. Whoever wins the job coming out of the bye week, that's who you roll with. Don't announce.
This time, their latest baffling maneuver has the entire football world collectively choking on its popcorn. The selection of Dillon Gabriel, again. And now, enter Richie Incognito, the man who is essentially a sentient sports headline generator, poised to deliver the verdict. If anyone is going to brutally inform you that your team has just drafted a one-way ticket to irrelevance, it will be Richie, and he will do so with his signature concoction of pure rage, profound disbelief, and almost poetic destruction.
Is currently ranked as the last quarterback in the National Football League. He's below Jake Browning. He's below Carson Wentz. By the way, is it time to start worrying about Cam Ward? Look, if I'm the Titans, you gotta worry a little bit. It hasn't looked good. It hasn't looked good. But Dillon Gabriel, the worst ranked quarterback in the National Football League. Well, you've got that.
And oh boy, he certainly did not disappoint. Richie Incognito took one look at Cleveland's so-called master plan and essentially called it what everyone else was already thinking. A glorified group project that has gone disastrously wrong. You know that one kid in every group who vehemently insists on leading the project, only to spend the entire night drawing stick figures instead of doing any of the actual substantive work. That in essence is the Cleveland Browns front office right now.
One of the most talked about, which is unnecessary to talk about, but we'll talk about it because, like, does it really matter? Do we give Shedeur Sanders an opportunity here? Because this is always happening every week when we talk about Dillon Gabriel. But at this point, it's like, why not give Sanders a shot?
I don't think there's any doubt that at some point this season, Shedeur Sanders is going to get his opportunity. Been battling a back injury. He was QB2 going into today. Let's contextualize this loss by the Cleveland Browns for a moment. The New York Jets just traded away their two best pieces on their team, right? Certainly on the defensive side, right? If you want to argue Garrett Wilson's in the top two, that's fine. The Browns are coming off of a bye.
So here is the setup. The Cleveland Browns, seemingly allergic to both peace and logic, have decided that Dillon Gabriel, the lowest-ranked quarterback in the entire draft pool, was their guy. Richie Incognito, who has never been one to whisper his opinions, practically exploded. You could almost feel the veins in his forehead pulsing through the television screen. His main point? It was devastatingly simple. Shedeur Sanders should have been the pick. Not a pick, not one of many. The pick. The kid with the undeniable swagger, the preternatural poise, and a football IQ that does not require Google Translate to understand complex defensive coverages. But no, Cleveland in their infinite wisdom decided to go the scenic route. It is almost as if the Browns are addicted to chaos. It feels like somewhere deep within the recesses of the organization, there is a secret department prominently labeled decisions that make no sense, and it is by far the busiest office in the entire building. Someone in that office saw Dillon Gabriel's ranking, glanced at Shedeur's highlight reel, shrugged, and said, "Let's roll the dice. What could possibly go wrong? Everything." The answer is, and always was, everything. Richie tore into this logic like a man who has witnessed far too many teams commit self-inflicted wounds. He did not even need to raise his voice much. The sheer disbelief in his tone was more than enough. According to him, Gabriel's selection was akin to picking a backup generator for a rocket ship when you have a brand new Tesla engine sitting right next to it. The Browns' logic apparently went something like this: let's find the least prepared quarterback available, hand him the keys to the entire offense, and then act completely shocked when it immediately crashes into the first linebacker it sees.
This pick in all of the 2025 draft was the Browns taking Dillon Gabriel in the 3rd round. There's no way that you can be an astute quarterback evaluator and think he was worthy of an asset as valuable as a 3rd round pick. It's time to go to Shedeur Sanders simply because he was a better prospect coming out of college than Dillon Gabriel.
So let's talk about the Cleveland Browns today. The fiasco, the letdowns. Let's talk about it. So Cleveland Browns, because this game against the New York Jets was nothing short of embarrassing. I'm talking about JV Pop Warner football level embarrassing. You've got Dillon Gabriel as your starting quarterback, and I'm going to be honest, this experiment is officially over with.
You almost have to admire their unwavering commitment to the bit. The city of Cleveland has been on this never-ending Sisyphean quest to outdo their own past mistakes. Every single time the long-suffering fans believe that the team cannot possibly mess up again, the organization seems to collectively say, "Challenge accepted." Richie's epic rant hit all the right notes: a palpable sense of exasperation, a healthy dose of mockery, and that profoundly disappointed dad energy that somehow makes the criticism sting even more. He essentially treated the Browns draft table like a poorly executed intervention that had gone horribly wrong. You could almost hear him saying, "We've talked about this. You promised you'd stop doing this." And the Shedeur Sanders comparison, oh, that one really hurt. Richie described Sanders as the guy with that innate star quality, the composure, the leadership, the quarterback you desperately want when the stadium lights are blinding you and the pressure feels like a crushing avalanche. Meanwhile, Gabriel was painted as the dude who is just happy to be there, like the unassuming intern who accidentally got promoted to CEO simply because everyone else quit. The contrast was both brutal and utterly hilarious. Picture it: Shedeur walks into the locker room, calm, confident, and ready to lead. Dillon Gabriel walks in, looking for the coffee machine and asking if the Wi-Fi password works on game day. Richie made it sound as though the Browns are collecting quarterbacks in the same way that people collect expired coupons, randomly, impulsively, and with no real discernible plan for how to actually use them. But the funniest part, the Browns actually seemed proud of their decision. Their general manager went on camera, beaming with a smile, as if they had just discovered fire, while everyone else was watching the footage, thinking, "Buddy, that's not fire, that's a dumpster, and it's actively burning."
With you guys, losing this game and kind of now being behind the 8 ball, do you stick with Dillon Gabriel after this game, or do you think about making a change?
Yeah, we're going to stick with Dillon. Obviously, this is a young players that you're always trying to get one game better and those type of things, but we have to play better as an offense. We have to coach better, all the above.
Richie's incisive take on the situation quickly transitioned from mere criticism into a full-blown, merciless roast. He relentlessly went after the Browns' system, which apparently involves spinning a wheel of names and allowing fate to make the final decision. It is either that, or someone on the coaching staff is using Madden ratings as their primary scouting data. And you know what is truly wild? The Browns fans saw this coming from a mile away. They have developed a sort of sixth sense over the years, a kind of draft-related PTSD. The very moment the pick was announced, you could almost feel the collective, resigned sigh travel through the entire state of Ohio, like a frigid cold front. Somewhere in that state, a fan was probably mid-toast, raising a glass and muttering, "Please don't mess this up," right before the name Dillon Gabriel appeared on the screen, and the glass shattered into a million pieces. Richie simply said the quiet part out loud. This is not just a bad move, it is a philosophical choice. The Browns do not make mistakes, they make statements. And that statement apparently is, we would rather surprise you with our confusion than win with any semblance of clarity. And then came the impassioned Shedeur defense. According to Richie, Shedeur Sanders is not just a quarterback, he is a movement. He is the kind of player who can walk into a locker room and instantly upgrade the entire team's energy. The Browns could have had that. They could have had the fire, the leadership, the flash, but instead they took the equivalent of a maybe on a job application. Richie went in so hard that it almost felt like a form of therapy for everyone who has ever rooted for the Browns and wondered why their blood pressure inexplicably spikes every single April. He painted the scene with perfect, brutal clarity. Shedeur Sanders is out there, training like a future franchise leader, while Dillon Gabriel is probably still adjusting his wristband and wondering if Audible is a sound setting on his headset.
Somehow, today, managed the most incredible display of absolute suckage, and I've been watching the Browns for like 30 plus years now, and this has got to be the one that takes the cake. Somehow, at the end of the game, even though it was already out of reach, let's just be honest with it, we're only down a touchdown, but the Browns decide on a third down stop, forcing fourth down, they're just going to commit a holding, give the Jets a first down, and then with just the slightest sliver of hope left, maybe the Browns could get the ball back and put something together. Guess what? We jump off sides, game freaking over.
The supreme irony in all of this is that the city of Cleveland keeps vehemently insisting that they have a plan. Every single press conference sounds like a corporate PowerPoint presentation on the virtues of optimism. We're building for the future, they say. Right, just like a Jenga tower builds for stability. Richie even joked that Cleveland's definition of a plan probably includes a significant amount of prayer, and you really cannot blame him. After watching this team reinvent the concept of heartbreak for decades, faith might actually be their strongest and most reliable stat. Then he took it a step further, meticulously dissecting how well-run teams like Kansas City, Baltimore, and San Francisco treat the draft like a high-stakes chess match, strategic, patient, and deliberate. Meanwhile, Cleveland is out here playing a chaotic game of Twister on a trampoline. What makes the situation even funnier is that Richie did not even sound angry. He sounded genuinely amused, as if he has reached that elevated level of Zen-like acceptance where the only logical reaction to Cleveland's decisions is laughter. It is the kind of laughter you get when you are watching someone try to hammer a nail with a banana. He even hinted that Gabriel might, in fact, be a decent player someday, just not for the Browns. Because as Richie so astutely pointed out, Cleveland is where quarterback potential goes to retire. They are like a museum of almost. Every few years, they add a new exhibit with a plaque that reads, "Here lies the next big thing." Richie basically summarized the Browns' fundamental problem in a single metaphorical punch. They keep buying new steering wheels, but the car still does not have an engine, and then they wonder why it will not move.
Let's not even sugarcoat it. He's not a real NFL starter. He's a practice squad quarterback pretending to lead a professional team. And Coach Kevin Stefanski, he keeps forcing it down our throats. No pause. Yes, Diddy. You heard me. Yes, Diddy. That's who Coach Kevin Stefanski is. Because even if Dillon throws 1 or 2 touchdowns in a game, that means absolutely nothing when the rest of his poor performance looks this bad. It's abysmal. We've seen enough.
He mercilessly mocked their obsessive quest to find their guy. Cleveland has had so many of their guys over the years that you could probably build a small city with all of the discarded jerseys. There is likely a landfill somewhere in Ohio that is composed of 60% failed quarterback merchandise. The segment reached a level of pure comedy gold when Richie pretended to imagine the inner workings of the Browns draft room. One guy's asleep, another's watching college highlights on mute. Someone's Googling best quarterbacks under 5 letters, and boom, Dillon Gabriel. Decision made. He even brought up the audacious idea that maybe Cleveland just wanted headlines, not wins. Because let's face it, controversy sells, and nothing says headline material quite like picking a low-ranked quarterback while completely ignoring a generational talent who is sitting right there practically waving. Richie made the apt comparison of ordering a gourmet steak and then, at the very last second, swapping it for a microwave burrito simply because it is easier to prepare. By this point, social media had already completely exploded. Browns fans were roasting their own team even harder than Richie was. Memes of Gabriel holding a clipboard flooded countless timelines. One particularly poignant meme even showed Shedeur Sanders in a Browns jersey with the caption, "In an alternate universe where logic exists." Richie then doubled down, suggesting that if the Browns truly believe in their pick, then maybe they should just rename the team to the Cleveland Contrarians, because apparently doing the complete opposite of what works is their entire brand.
I'm already out on Dillon Gabriel. I feel like Shedeur Sanders should be starting today. I feel like this is a massive missed opportunity to not start Shedeur Sanders, matter of fact, because you had the extended bye week. You had time to prep Shedeur Sanders to play in this game, and you didn't take it. And everything about this lined up perfectly, from the changing of the play caller with the bye week to it's the Jets that just traded away Quinnen Williams and Sauce Gardner.
He also could not resist taking a few well-aimed pokes at the coaching staff. He said it is like they're running a daycare center for quarterbacks. Here's your box, here's your playbook. Try not to panic when someone rushes the pocket. And, as is his custom, he closed his epic rant with what sounded suspiciously like a punchline, cleverly disguised as wisdom. If you're going to pick chaos, at least make it entertaining. Mission accomplished, Cleveland. They started dropping lines about how Gabriel's underdog mentality and developmental potential make him the perfect fit for their long-term vision. The translation? We have no idea what we're doing, but we'll figure it out in about 5 years. Meanwhile, Richie was not buying it for a second. He quipped that if potential were enough to win games, then Cleveland would have been Super Bowl champions every single year since the 1980s. His sarcasm reached legendary levels when he mercilessly mocked the Browns' hype videos. You know, those highly cinematic montages with the dramatic music and the slow-motion helmet shots. He imagined the announcer saying, "This year Cleveland builds the future by completely ignoring the present." The rant, in the end, accomplished what Cleveland's own front office could not. It united the entire fan base. Everyone unanimously agreed that Richie was right. It is not even about Gabriel being inherently bad. It is about the Browns being so predictably unpredictable.
Play well, should win this game. Now Dillon Gabriel has started 5 games. He has 1 win. He got 5 yards per attempt today. In a lost season, which clearly this is a lost season again for the Cleveland Browns, you were going to see Shedeur, and I thought for a little bit that Dillon Gabriel would be able to hold it off. That, okay, he's going to play well. They won't lose because of Dillon Gabriel. It's hard to say that they didn't lose today because of Dillon Gabriel and, of course, bad special teams play by the Browns. So I don't know if it's this upcoming week. I don't know if it's the next week. But sooner rather than later, I think we will finally see the debut of Shedeur Sanders.
It is like watching someone deliberately touch a hot stove every single year, just to confirm that yes, it is still in fact hot. And of course, there is always that tiny microscopic chance that Dillon Gabriel will prove every single person wrong. Maybe he will shock the entire world. Maybe he will turn out to be the next franchise savior. But if history is any indication, Cleveland will somehow find a way to make even that miracle look like an accident. Richie wrapped up his epic tirade with a smirk that practically screamed, "I've seen this movie before." Because that is the thing about the Browns. They do not just repeat history, they remix it for a new generation. By the time he was done, fans were quoting him, players were reacting, and the Browns' social media team was probably hiding under their desks. It was not just a critique, it was a comedy special, a roast session, and a public therapy session all rolled into one. Because if there is one thing that Cleveland is consistent at, it is proving that when it comes to football, they can turn even the simplest of of decisions into epic headline-grabbing disasters. And honestly, at this point, that might just be their true legacy. Because here is the thing about Cleveland. Even when they try to fix their past mistakes, they somehow manage to create brand new ones in the process. It is like watching someone try to patch a leaking roof with bubble gum. You just know another drip is coming. And when Richie pointed out that the Browns love a good rebuild, he was not kidding. This team rebuilds more often than IKEA furniture.
Why? I don't get what did Shedeur do to Kevin Stefanski? Like, did he sleep with his wife? Did he threaten to kill his children or something? Like, what did Shedeur Sanders do to deserve the treatment that he is getting? What has Dillon Gabriel shown you? This trash can is the equivalent of what I don't even know. Deshaun Kaiser, Cody Kessler, Brian Hoyer at his worst. We have seen some bad quarterbacks in Cleveland since 1999. He genuinely might be the worst one I've ever seen.
Every single season, it is the exact same speech. We're starting fresh. Yeah, fresh like week-old leftovers that have been reheated for the 10th consecutive time. Richie Incognito practically dared the Cleveland Browns to prove him wrong. He explicitly said that if Gabriel turns out to be the hero, he will personally eat his own words, which, let's be honest, would probably still taste better than most of Cleveland's offensive game plans. But deep down, you could tell that even he did not genuinely expect a miracle. It is not that Gabriel is completely untalented. It is just that the Browns have a unique and uncanny way of turning decent prospects into obscure trivia questions. Rain, snow, or perpetual heartbreak, they are there, waving their flags like loyal soldiers engaged in a never-ending battle against the very concept of logic. Richie even joked that being a Browns fan should automatically qualify for hazard pay. Every single game is an emotional roller coaster that somehow never actually goes up. By the end of his impassioned tirade, Richie did not even sound mad anymore. He sounded genuinely entertained, almost impressed. It takes a special kind of talent to make the exact same mistake look brand new year after year. The Browns might not be Super Bowl contenders, but they are the absolute undisputed champions of chaos. And as the cameras finally cut away, you could almost imagine Richie shaking his head with a knowing smirk, muttering the words that every single NFL fan already knows by heart: classic Cleveland. Because if the world of football ever needed a tragic comedy, the Browns just keep delivering the sequels. No script required.